Hey all! Today I'm going to teach you how to budget and cost out a refurb and also how to find contractors in your local area. Budgeting a refurb is hugely important to stay on track so that you can make a profit, because otherwise if you go overboard you could end up making a loss. This video will teach you exactly how to find out how much things cost in each room or each area of the property, and also how to manage and organise these costs so that you can budget properly. Finding good contractors and tradesmen is equally as important, because if you don't, things will go wrong and you'll end up paying too much for something that takes too long to do that you could have got cheaper and more quality from somewhere else, and you'll just have an all-round bad time. Before we get further into the video, make sure you drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now let's get into the video. So let's talk about budgeting your refurb. The first step is setting up and getting organised. To do this, I'd advise setting up an Excel spreadsheet and dividing it into columns for each individual room, so this way you can see what you need to buy, how much it will cost, and where you can get it from. I'd advise setting up something that looks a little bit like this, and like this. Now, as you can see, I've started to list the names of the things that you'll need and where you can buy them from, such as some new floor cabinets from DIY Kitchens, or further down you can see that we've got some paint from Zinsser which you can buy from B&Q. Now you'd obviously have to factor in to make sure that you buy enough of the items for what you need, such as making sure you buy enough cabinets for the kitchen, or enough paint to cover all the walls, or enough floor to cover all the floors in the house. You can make sure that you're doing this by, when you go on the website like B&Q, in the product descriptions it will usually tell you how many walls a tin of paint covers. So then you can obviously just count the walls in the house and make sure that you've got enough paint to cover all of them. Or for example with the flooring, it will tell you how many meters of flooring is in each box, so that you can make sure that you buy enough boxes to cover all the floor in all the room. It's worth making sure that you factor absolutely everything that you can into the refurb, even down to new lampshades or plug fittings or handles on cabinets if you haven't done that already, and even hinges, because obviously even the small things like hinges that might only be, £1 for a box, does all start adding up. Before you know it, it'll be 50 quid here or 100 quid there. There's obviously likely always to be things that you're going to miss or not know about from the first time that you get in the property. But before you make an offer on the property, it's always best to try and budget as accurately as you can how much the refurb would cost. Obviously, properties need different amounts of refurbishment. Some might just need a lick of paint or a new thing here or there, but obviously some might need an complete reconstruction, a new bathroom, new kitchen, new windows, door, roof, the list goes on. So let's dig a little bit deeper and look at kitchens first. My favourite suppliers at the moment are DIY Kitchens and Howdens. Kitchens come in two types in the UK, and these are flat pack and rigid. The first type of kitchen is flat pack kitchen, and these obviously come flat and in a box. You need to get them out of the box and construct them first and then install them. These kitchens can be of lower quality and not made from as good materials, because they can be sometimes quite difficult to construct and make sure you've got all the feet level. You also might have to drill holes in the back of the kitchens or the back of the woodwork to be able to feed through the pipes for the water or the gas and the electricity wires as well. These kitchens can be really good, but a tradesman is likely to charge you more to put them in, because he also has to construct them as well as installing them. The suppliers for these kind of kitchens are companies like B&Q, IKEA or Homebase, and kitchens like these usually retail for around £1,000 to £3,000, depending on the size of the kitchen and how many units you're having. Obviously, if you're only having, say, 6 to 8 cupboards, it's going to be a lot cheaper than having, say, 14 to 22 cupboards, for example. The next type of kitchen is rigid. These obviously come fully constructed and are often a bit more sturdy. What do I mean by sturdy exactly? Usually the flat pack kitchens are, say, 10 to 20 millimeters thick and are made out of a cheaper material like chipboard, whereas rigid kitchens are usually a thicker material, say 30 to 40 millimeters thick, and are usually made from a more durable plastic or a more durable kind of wood. So obviously they can take a lot more stress and weight on them over the years. These kind of kitchens usually come with a service area, or an area for the pipes and wires to be put in, already cut out. Therefore your chargeman's probably a little bit more likely to charge you less, because A, it'll be easier for him to install, and B, he won't have to construct the kitchen first. He's probably also going to be a little bit happier doing this, as he won't have to balance the feet and bits and pieces like that. The kind of companies that supply kitchens like these are Howdens, Wren or DIY Kitchens or any other like major kitchen players. Kitchens like these usually cost more than £3,000 and usually go up to say 5 to 10 grand, but really have no limit depending on the kind of quality of kitchen that you really want. You'll also need to factor in appliances for the kitchen, such as cookers, dishwashers, fridge freezers, microwaves, even taps, and so on and so forth. Obviously that can vary massively depending on what kind of quality you want in your kitchen, but a good baseline is say £1,000 to £2,000. Next up is the bathroom. So in the bathroom you're obviously going to need a toilet, sink, a bath or a shower, or maybe even a bath and a shower. But you're also going to need different things as well, such as a cistern, which is the flushing system, taps, loo roll holders, towel holders, maybe a new extractor fan, waste valves, and quite a bit more. So obviously the costs can really start to add up. You'll also need to pay close attention to the water system that's in the house at the moment. Depending on how the water system is constructed, you might need a shower pump to generate more water pressure, or you might need to move the water system as well. Often houses that have a water system in the loft are fine to have a shower, because obviously the gravity pulls the water down into the shower. But for example, houses that have the water system downstairs would have to pull the water against gravity to get it into the shower, and that's where you'll need a shower pump. Again, it's best to write down where you plan to buy everything from. My favourite kind of bathroom supplies at the moment are Appliances Direct, Bella Bathrooms, and obviously B&Q. All of the appliances in the bathroom are likely to cost around £1,000, but that does also depend on the size of the bathroom and the number of appliances that you plan to have. You might also need to pay a plumber some money as well, obviously if you want to move the bath from here to over here in the bathroom, which might cost an extra say £500 just to factor in any kind of replumbing issues. You will then need to decide whether you want to partially tile the bathroom or fully tile the bathroom floor to ceiling. The latter option is obviously a bit nicer and shows a high quality finish, but will probably be more expensive. You'll probably want to go out and buy the tiles yourself so that you can find the right tiles for you, but the tiler will probably want to supply their own grout. Shop bought grout often isn't really that great, and tilers usually like using their own. A bathroom will cost around about £1,000 to tile per bathroom. So obviously you've got a house that has more than one bathroom, it'll cost more. You will then need to factor in other kinds of accessories, such as vinyl, laminate or wood flooring, carpet, doors, handles, maybe new windows if the building or house still has old single pane windows, any kind of EPC improvements, any kind of final accessories such as lamp fittings or plug socket covers and bits and pieces like that. You can buy these from shops such as Wickes or B&Q or just kind of any kind of DIY store. Once you've completed your budget and purchased the property and start doing the works, it's also worth keeping like a running tally of what you've already bought, what you still have to buy, and what extra you've bought as well, so that next time when you come to do a budget, you'll know what additional things that you missed out, or maybe what things that you didn't actually need. If you've enjoyed the video so far, be sure to leave a comment below about what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. Alternatively, if you've got any questions about budgeting, be sure to leave them below and I'll try and answer them if possible. Another thing I'd say is really important is to keep like an order of works. So for example, step 1, remove the furniture. Step 2, remove the tiles from the walls. Step 3, maybe you want to do the upstairs first and leave the downstairs for later. Because obviously if you do the downstairs first, you're then going to have tradesmen, yourself, builders, tilers, floorers, walking all through the nice downstairs that's been freshly painted and has nice new flooring laid, up the staircase and then into the bathroom, bringing in their muddy footprints each time, potentially scuffing the walls as they carry all the appliances upstairs, leaving dents and anything else like that. So obviously the last thing you want to do is paint and floor the whole of the downstairs and then it gets trashed by people running upstairs every day. Or even worse, you nicely paint a wall, take a step back, look at it and you think, oh, that's great, but I need to put a plug socket right there. So you've got to make a big old hole in the wall, put a plug socket in, replaster over it and repaint it again. Now, moving on to how to find good and reliable contractors and tradesmen. My number one top tip is to use Facebook groups to find your contractors and tradesmen. I think this way is much better than using different websites such as Trustpilot or Checkatrade or MyBuilder, because obviously with these websites the tradesmen can have negative reviews removed about them if they wanted to, or they could just pay a small fee to be like an approved contractor. Your best bet is to go on Facebook and find a group like Bournemouth Friends or Slough Buy and Sell, and search in the group or in the forum for people looking for a tiler or a builder or a kitchen installer. You're likely to find a post where someone's asked for a recommendation for a tiler. You're then going to have a bunch of people commenting on that post and saying like, oh, I really recommend John from down the road. And then someone else might say, oh, I've used John before, he was great, he turned up on time every single day. And someone else might really like John as well. So obviously it's really hard to fake these kind of reviews in numbers, and if someone has a bad experience with someone, they're likely to tell you straight away what the experience was and just how bad it was, and probably to tell you to stay away from them and never to contact them. Your best bet is to find probably 3, 4 or 5 people that have been well recommended and get a quote from each one of them. I'd say it's best to get a quote from 3 to 5 contractors, because this way you can kind of develop a bit of a price range. I wouldn't recommend going for the cheapest guy, or for the most expensive guy, or for the guy that can turn up tomorrow. You just want to find someone that's quite fair and average and has got good bookings but isn't fully booked and difficult to get a hold of. Obviously you want to try and find the best person so that you're not going to get ripped off. Really what's most important though is obviously the reviews. If they've got a lot of people that have given them really good reviews that they don't have linkages to, such as it's their best friend or their employee, this person's probably likely to be really reliable. In terms of actually getting quotes, the first step is to either just message them over Facebook or call them up and send them some photos and ask if they can do it. You'd like to see them asking you some questions, such as, is the kitchen flat pack or rigid? Do I need to install any gas or electricity? What about the plumbing? Is that going to be covered, or do they need to find someone from that? Or the worktop, is someone else installing it, or do they need to do it, and do they need to cut it to shape? Do they need to cut any holes out of it? And just kind of, additional probing questions like that, so that you can see they're obviously trying to make a fair and accurate quote for you. If they can give you a quote over Facebook, that's great. Doesn't always happen though, because if you've got a complex installation or if you don't have any photos, they might want to come and see the property in person. Obviously this way is a bit better because they can give you a more accurate quote. Just isn't always as timely or isn't always as easy, because it's really easy just to shoot someone a message on Facebook as opposed to bringing them around to the property and let them walk around it for half an hour. It's also always best to use a contract. You can probably find a contract from Google, but obviously this will just be a signed agreement where both of you sign and agree to the price and the works that need to be done. You could also set up some kind of different rules. For example, if they need to do some extra work, should they contact you first about it, or should they just go and buy the product? You could also use the contract to factor in different things as well, such as if there's a time deadline that they have to stick to, and if not, you might have to pay them, you might be willing to pay them less. Or if they don't do a great job, whether they have to come back and fix it, and whether you hold any money back as a retention. For example, you might say hold back 20% until they've finished and got everything perfect and tidied up any snagging bits. For example, if when they installed the kitchen, if they scuffed the wall, you might get them to repair it before you give them the full amount of money. If you want to learn more about property investing, be sure to watch some of my other videos. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell. That way, you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.